Welcome to the Big Biz Show.
Taking care of business.
You want fast-talking, hard-hitting discussions on business and finance? Maybe with a barroom slant and some really salty peanuts? We're not counting calories. We're counting cash. Before we get to the man with the financial plan, meet the money team. Costa, Mary, and Greg. Now Captain Finance himself, Sully.
That's right. We are inside the Fortress of Solitude for Captain Finance, the Loft 100 Studios. Welcome to the Big Biz Show. Wherever you're watching, wherever you're listening, thanks for being along for the ride. Costa, Marybird Godwin, my favorite. Greg Todorov, also my favorite, and my super favorite, Sully.
Nice to see you. Look at that with the municipal. Municipal. We got Harry Arnett coming on next week.
I heard.
Mark Wahlberg's partner.
I heard.
He's been on the air a number of times.
Hold on.
Are you a municipal fan?
Oh my God, love it. Love
Do they have female stuff?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Well, it's all female stuff now, isn't it?
Hey.
I don't know.
Ever since Eve.
I don't know. Let's ask Mike.
They got all the clothing and half the money.
Thank you. No, they're here in town. They got the big, beautiful Oceanside store, and then they have their massive flagship up in Orange County.
What's interesting, the rest of the country here is Oceanside. Ooh, what a fantastic place.
Is it the site of the ocean?
Well, there has been a renaissance.
I was going to say, it's
I would call it a regentrification versus a renaissance. There's nothing renaissance about Oceanside. This is like saying Daytona Beach as a renaissance.
It actually, have you been there? Have you been? There's some amazing spas and hotels, really good restaurants,
and then there's
Michelin star restaurants.
the highest crime per capita in the entire country because of the military base. So there's also that. Let's get straight to Howie Font, our analyst here on the Big Biz Show, shall we? I love how Howie went clubbing and got this music to Jared.
Yeah.
Good to see you, Jared. Good to see you, Howard. Hey, let's talk about making more multi-millionaires. What is this? What is this email I got from you today saying making more multi?
Listen,
are you asking?
I'm just really happy that I could be talking about this. I thought I was going to look a little bit out of touch, and you guys are talking about how crummy, Ocean View, California. I know it's okay, but
this is so typical of the East Coast guy. Solano Beach and Del Mar. And
how expensive is La Jolla?
It's mediocre. Southern California. Who cares?
Ocean View, California is absolutely gorgeous by Pacific Palisades.
Of course it is.
Oceanside, California, which is next to Camp Pendleton, at one point, not anymore because there has been a regentrification, was the highest crime per capita in the country until about 6 years ago.
Chicago West.
Yeah, but it sounds to me like there's something like its highest crime per capita, and it's like the footprint is like 1 square foot.
It's exactly right.
One guy crosses the street, and the crime rate's out of control.
That's what it used to be. Thanks for that. Okay. So tell us, how come super rich, I keep on hearing, super rich are getting richer? It's not because, and by the way, I'm going to get on my soapbox here for just 1 second.
Yeah.
The reason Amazon doesn't pay any taxes, the reason Target doesn't pay any taxes, the reason McDonald's doesn't pay any taxes, because they use the 71,000 page tax code, just like you do, to pay as least amount of tax as they can. Okay? They're playing fairly. Okay? It's not unfair. It's our progressive tax system, which is ridiculous. It's the same reason why you can write off certain ridiculous notions, and you can't write off other. You can only write off $1 million on your mortgage. Okay, and can you name any coastal state or border state that doesn't have at least $1 million? 30% of their homes are $1 million or more in terms of mortgages, and you can't write them off because of our progressive tax code. So what is happening is, when they say the rich are getting richer, it's because they own assets, right, Howie?
Listen, that's exactly right. I'm calling it a call to action, this segment, because I think in this country it's possible for most people to, get to the last third of their lives as millionaires, and we'll talk a little bit about that. But you have to own assets and let your money make money while you work.
But there's a big secret here. There's a huge secret here that not many people know. I would actually, let me say this, Howie. I think everyone knows this, but very few of them actually follow this.
Oh, that is a tease.
I think that is a tease.
Coming up, News Radio 600, Kelgo. See you later. Traffic and weather together, talking to the vibe.
All right, keep it here. A lot more to come. And the answer to that question on the other side.
Costa Sky.
He had some sort of healthcare.
We continue on the Big Biz Show live from the Loft 100 studios here in Southern California. Just down the road from beautiful Ocean View, otherwise known as Oceanside to our market analysts, Howie Font, Costumere Godwin, Greg Todorov, and of course, Sully. God. You hear it every night there in Ocean View.
I was going to say, is that Oceanside? We're here.
From Ocean View to the Canadian border, I want to talk sports with you. My name is Mike Costa. 800-600-690.
Oh my God.
Were you ever pukey? Were you ever pukey on the radio?
No, because I had somebody who pulled me aside one time when I was just starting to get.
Don't be pukey.
They said, dude, just talk normal. You're not Casey Kasem. Shut up. So I was like, okay. Now back to the countdown.
I think me and Dave Rickards were talking one night till like 3 a.m.
Yep.
Back in the day. And we were talking about the fact that we were going the opposite direction about not sounding like radio guys.
Totally.
Like we're trying not to sound like a radio guy.
Yeah. And Dave, who does his podcast here from the Loft 100 studios, by the way, he has always hung his hat on that.
Yeah.
Just some normal guy turn on a microphone and
Chicago
talk.
guy.
Chicago.
Yeah. Hey, speaking of non-Chicago guys, but New York guys, Howie Font is here. Howie, the one rule we talked about before we went to the break that everyone knows, but rarely people actually hang their head on is spend less than you make, right? And the reason is because if you look at usdebtclock.org, I'm about to show you, if you ran your budget like the country runs our budget, let's just kick the can down the road and do another debt ceiling. In other words, another credit line increase every year on your maxed out credit cards, right? So talk about, go ahead.
Well, listen, that's what's going to be in all the headlines in about 2 weeks here when the Congress has a spat over the debt ceiling and balancing the budget, and we'll hear all about continuing resolutions again. So I'm with you there. I just like to give a little, I'm always gloom and doom. I want to give a little bit of a victory lap. Some 2024 numbers came out for millionaire growth and multi-millionaire growth. So I just wanted to share those with the class and see what you guys thought about this.
So what is super wealthy? Is that over $10 million still? Is that what,
yes.
Okay, so if you have over $10 million in assets, whether real estate or liquid assets, you're considered super wealthy.
Okay.
Did that actually grow in 2024?
So it actually grew by more than it's grown in 20 years in the United States.
Wow.
So worldwide, we had 4.4% growth in people that have more than $10 million US.
Do you know why that is, by the way?
Yeah.
Stock market.
Yeah.
Equities.
Yes.
And I'll tell you why. Because under Democratic administrations, markets tend to do better. The economy stunk like a big stinkeroo, right? How's that for an analogy? Stunk like a thing that
That's
stinks.
a financial term.
Stunk like a thing that stinks. But look, I'm not counting on this. If you go, by the way, that figure goes back to 1925. So so I would like to see the modern figures. It's probably not as cut and dry as that. But it was a lot of equities, was it not? This was not a real estate jump. This was an equities jump, wasn't it, Howie?
No, that is definitely why their wealth inflates. And to track with inflation, you have to own assets. I mean, if you think about a stock of Apple as a company did not get worse because the U.S. government printed more money. But since the U.S. government does print more money all the time, the number of dollars that it takes to buy one single share of Apple, if they just stay flat, will go up. So you have asset inflation plus the actual growth of the asset is what's getting these guys' net worths higher and higher.
So this fact I want to talk about is that there's 22. Let me see. There are near 22 millionaires. That's 1 in 15. 1 in 15 Americans are millionaires. Average age 61 years old.
Okay.
That is not as impressive as it used to be, considering the fact that that housing prices are so much.
Wait, 1 in 15 are millionaires?
1 in 15 are millionaires. Yeah, 1 in 15 Americans, and that includes.
Is that home equity? Okay.
401ks.
All right.
So the real estate market in this country has contributed to that number. The growth in existing wealth is contributed by equities, in other words, stocks and bonds. So I guess the big thing we have to talk about is Alice, right, Howie?
Yeah, I mean that's kind of the remainder. I really like.
Are you familiar with Alice?
She works at the cafe.
She works the Brady Bunch. She works,
Right.
Oh.
Asset limited, income constrained, employed.
Yeah, God.
Okay.
Is there a test on this?
Asset limited, income constrained, and employed. Okay. Alisu is asset limited.
Her cousin.
Income constrained, unemployed. How we talk about Alice?
I think it's a fun little euphemism for paycheck to paycheck, unfortunately.
Yeah, right.
But it's 40 million families. It's 29% of people in the country.
That's poverty, Howie. That's 11% of the population living in poverty.
Well, 11% is living in poverty. 29% are these Alice, and it's in this Alice group.
Okay.
Poverty is a different thing. Happy to talk about that. But 29% is kind of breaking even, and that kind of means you're stagnating. Hopefully, you're building equity in yourself by getting better at whatever job you do that is providing this break-even income. But ideally, like we were talking about, and I know this is so hard for people because you've got kids, there's school payments.
But Howie, hold on a second. I'm not going to be very popular. This is what I built a career on talk radio. If you are making minimum wage, first let me back up. Life is a series of decisions for the most part, not for everybody, for the most part, other than the 3% in this country that have no choice, and the other 3% that have medical issues above the neck, okay? Life is a series of choices. If you are making minimum wage at the age of 25 or 35, you have somehow failed to take your education seriously, you've failed to take your unless you're at a transition stage, you've failed to take your career seriously. Now, I realize people say, well, I can't get out of this situation. I understand that it's really hard once you've made a series of bad decisions to get out of a situation. But there is one way to do that, and it is spend less than you make, which is almost impossible. But I guarantee you, because I used to do financial need analysis when I first got into money 40 years ago, and at the end of the day, I could always find an extra $50 a month out of the what I call the Navy E1. You know what Navy E1 is? He's the lowest paid paid guy. So the paycheck's
newly enlisted
E1s.
Yep.
Okay. I can always find an extra $50 or $100 a month somewhere, somehow, that they could do it. I will tell you, if you can pay off your debt, I don't care if it takes you 3 years or not. I mean, if you're in your 20s, 30s, or 40s, you got 30, 40 good summers left in your 40s, and more when you're younger. If you can pay off your debt and then literally understand there's only two ways to wealth in this country. You have to own a business or you have to own real estate. You guys all own businesses, every one of you guys. Do you know why? Because I know you invest in the stock market somehow, some way. Mm-hmm. You buy one share of Apple, you have now owned a business. Howie, can you detract away from that? Because that's the only path out of this is step one, get rid of your debt somehow, some way. Step two, start buying a share, $100 a month, $10 a month, whatever. At some point, things will turn. And I promise you, if you retire at the age of 70, like most people will, and you have $100,000 to $250,000 in the bank, it's a big difference when you add that to Social Security, because at the end of the day, that's an extra $10,000 to $25,000 a year if you're letting it go to work for you, on top of what your extra income in, right?
That is 100% the key to success. This country has enabled it in a way that no other country in history has. I really hope more people listen to that. And just to reemphasize your point, debt is reverse investing. So everything good we're saying about investing, the opposite is true for any debt. You have to erase it as soon as possible. I know it's necessary in a lot of cases. I know people make choices, but
now look, I'm not talking about the 10% of the population of the country that is just in poverty that by no fault of their own. I'm talking about decisions that this Alice group can make differently. You know, now I think one of the ways to resolve this is a new tax code, either a fair tax or a flat tax. And fair tax means that you're going to pay as you go. So you don't pay if you make $52,000 a year, you get $1,000 a week. That's it. But there's no sales tax, but instead you're going to pay an extra 18% on everything, and that is a consumption tax, so whoever spends more pays more. The difference is you would have to, 18% to a guy making $100,000 a year is a lot more than 18%, or is not a lot less than somebody paying 18% and making $25,000 or $30,000 a year. So you have to pay a stipend to every American, okay, number one. So that solves some of the poverty problems. Number two, it gets folks out of this point where I'm making $15 an hour, but I'm taking home $9. Right? I think that's a big piece of it. And the fair tax, of course, and then the flat tax, of course, is something that has been poo-pooed for a while. So I honestly think a consumption tax would solve the issues in this country as well as term limits. So thanks. I'm running for president. I'll see you guys there.
I'll vote for you. Good God.
I never thought I would hear the day when Sully endorsed UBI. That's great. That's great.
I honestly, Howie, because when you look at this thing, one side of your brain says, because we tend to, look, we lament our losses 3 times more than we celebrate our gains. Every time. Look no further than the Padres. When the Padres lose, damn! Padres won. Okay, what's for dinner, right? Tuesday when they lost Saturday.
Yeah.
So I think what we do is we end it, when I see something like this, I start saying, well, great, millionaires made more money. Obviously, they got more money. What about this 36.8 million? And that's the part I think we need to work on as a society, because you got 11% of the population that is living in poverty. Now, part of it is because of their own circumstances. The other part of it is because we can't figure out a way from the top down to figure that out. Alice, I don't care about helping. They can help themselves. But as far as poverty line, and they're here end of the lesson. Thanks, Howie. See you tomorrow. Howie said like 3 words the whole time.
I was going to say, try not to talk so much next time, Howie.
If more people had that come to Jesus meeting, like he just gave us for like,
well, I guarantee you, I'm not very popular right now with many people.
That's okay though.
But again, I bifurcate the people that are employed versus people that are poverty. People that are poverty have no excuse in a country like ours to have veteran homelessness and 37% of our population.
But isn't this a great argument to have fiscal response?
Sunny, Southern California, although it's June, which means there's gloom everywhere.
Gloom.
Never gloom in the studio when you got the Day Trader Trio back here at the bar. It's Costa and Mary Burke Godwin. Hope you guys are having a great day. As always, appreciate you being along for the ride. Let's see if I can do this.
I'm trying, dude. I'm trying.
It's me. It's me.
Help you.
You didn't take lessons and you're playing the drums. I can't get you guys to finish cleanly on 2, so it's my fault.
You just got to get it in early enough, and then we know to do it at the end of the
okay, I see. Bring the bus around, as you say.
Exactly, my man.
Bring the bus around.
Always great.
Okay.
The bus always comes back around.
That's what it is. Our buddy Dan Negroni, speaker, CEO, coach, consultant, chief launch officer, dannegroni.com, also professor, and you're teaching a new class. Great to see you, by the way.
Yes, great to see you guys.
You've got a new class you're teaching in the fall?
Yeah, I hear I'm going to be teaching business law, which will be fun.
Wow.
Yeah.
Holy moly.
I'm a lawyer, so.
Yes.
Okay.
But
was business law your thing?
I was a corporate
practiced?
lawyer,
Yeah.
yes.
Oh, okay.
But business law in college is a little bit different. It's kind of all the types of law, so from torts and negligence to property to contracts to corporations. So it's like a mini preview of what law school might be like.
Okay,
all the things you need to know.
Awesome.
We have some questions for you about AI and what AI is doing to people in the job market today, and is it separating us or bringing us together? But you've got a new book coming out?
I got a new book coming out called Workverse. And actually, it is written by myself, the founder of this company called Marley that we've talked about before, Michelle Duval, and Marley, the AI coach, has written some of the book.
Cool.
So it's
a triumvirate.
Wait.
Yeah.
Love it.
An actual AI bot helped write the book.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yes,
I love that you're just being honest about it.
Oh, no, I mean,
that's part of the thing.
They're
right?
part of the author on that.
Yeah.
It's what is the workplace going to look like now with AI? And how do we combine people and tech?
Okay.
People in AI particularly, and it's such a cool book.
What do you and Marley have to say about it?
Me, Marley, and Michelle. Have to say that you cannot stop the train from coming. AI is here. It's everywhere in our lives. What we can talk about, whether you guys are using it, I'm using it an awful lot. Whether you use it for sales, whether you use it, Canva uses it for presentations. All sorts of companies are using it. Gong for sales, and OneMind, a friend of mine's company, they have an AI bot that'll actually be your salesperson. Super cool, my friend Amanda Kalo. And AI is here to stay, and it's not that AI is going to replace your job, but the people that know how to use AI certainly will replace you if you don't know how to use AI. And so, hey, young people, all those business law students, let's figure out how to incorporate AI as a skill set into the workplace.
Did AI make the physical process of writing the book easier?
Well, yes, because AI is like this plethora of data and information that it can prepare and serve up in seconds.
Yes.
I mean, as you've seen, it's just so cool.
Right.
And so you can give it parts of the book, you can have it look at other parts and go out there to, using a large language model like ChatGPT or Gemini and get other information. And, you got to be really good about your prompts, and you got to really be good about fact checking it.
That's what I was going to ask you. When you say people that know how to use AI, is that actually people that know how to create the right prompts come up with the ways in which to use it. Explain to me what it is.
So, I mean, there's creating AI and building AI products and all those things, and then there's using it.
Yes.
And yes, garbage in, garbage out. If you put in a bad prompt that says make this better, it's probably not going to be that much better.
Right.
But if you put in a prompt that, for example, says, hey, look at the market for this thing, look at the top 10 companies here, give me a summary of X, Y, and Z relative to those companies, their revenue, how they've succeeded, how they've failed, tell me what are those things, and then spit it out to me in one paragraph that is concise about what's the next step forward for this particular problem, and you write the problem out. Yeah, you're going to get really good stuff.
So how long would your prompt be? Because it sounds like it's very detailed prompt.
Yeah.
And how, that's like a whole
I'm going to give you a lawyer's answer, just since we're talking about business law. And the answer is it depends.
Okay.
I mean, I just think it depends what you're looking for and how much data you have that that you're trying to do to shape the answer that you're looking for. But for me, for example, doing keynotes and doing new presentations, what used to take me 20, 30 hours, I can now do in an hour.
Dang.
Wow.
And I put in all the old stuff.
Yeah.
And it looks at the old stuff. I can put in a new reel and say, hey, here's my new reel, but look at my website and look at this competitor's website and look at the world and look at the market and the market for speaking about generational issues or the combination of people and tech in the workplace and how to grow the workplace, and boom.
How do you feel about students using it?
I love it.
Okay, this is what
I love it.
My daughter's going to go to college.
Yeah.
I'm thinking she's going to use AI. Everyone's using it.
Yeah, she should probably take a course in AI. I mean, high school should have a course in AI,
right.
How to use AI in college.
Because is it considered cheating anymore? Because, teachers are docking kids for saying AI wrote their paper.
Yeah.
But then it's not real. That the student actually did write the paper.
I mean, like, if it's a paper or, and you're borrowing things and they're writing it and you're being judged on your writing, I could see where AI might be a problem. Okay. But if you are being judged on putting a presentation together for a business or a strategic presentation and you're not using AI, you're failing. And the kids don't know how to use AI, and there is this kind of conflict between should I be able to use it or not? But the world is there. We use it in real life in businesses every day. Right. No one says to you, put your hands behind your back and don't touch the AI key because we don't want better information.
Right.
Like, we don't want better results.
Yeah.
Dan Negroni, speaker, CEO, coach, consultant, chief launch officer, author, and college professor. Always great to have him here with us inside the Loft 100 studios. Okay, so you mentioned high school kids being offered a class on AI just to learn how. With
high school, college.
High school, sorry.
Workers in the workplace.
Okay, to me, that's one of those things where as you've told us time and time again, technology is advancing at warp speed, and businesses cannot stop the train.
Yeah.
Get on board, learn how to use it, become part of this ecosystem.
Yeah, well, it's like chastising someone years back for buying something on the internet, right?
Yeah.
When the internet came out, you didn't go to a store? No, because I can use my phone.
But do you get the sense that businesses, maybe big Fortune 500 companies out there, are realizing, hey, we have some employees, some people, upper, lower management, they need to get a crash course.
Yeah, I think
AI.
all businesses are struggling with trying to figure out how to balance their people and how to balance AI and how to bring them together to integrate it to create better work efficiencies, better workflow, better ideas of who might do a particular job and how to do that particular job. And it's the wild, wild west. And so the more, if you're young or if you're old, really look at AI and learn to understand it, because it will set you apart. And your daughter, amen.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
get her on that.
When you're saying AI too, I mean, really my experience with it is ChatGPT.
Right.
It's the only thing I know how to use. Are there other things? I mean, I know there's all sorts of.
So all softwares in different disciplines now use AI.
Okay.
They use AI to make your customer service better. They use AI to know what ads to serve to you on Instagram. They use AI to make processes more efficient, to build a better product. AI is being used everywhere. Everywhere.
It's everywhere.
Yeah.
What's the name of the new book coming out?
Workverse, the Workverse,
When
the
can we
new
expect
workplace.
it?
Yeah, when can we get it?
Copy?
Yes, and probably in the next few weeks, I think.
Love it.
Yeah.
How's the summer going? Good?
Good.
Love it.
Just trying to get tan, and when I saw myself on screen, I'm like, God, I'm tan.
Dan Negroni, speaker, CEO, coach, consultant, chief launch officer, author, and professor. Always great to see you, brother. We roll on. We are in Southern California, rolling on inside the beautiful, spacious Loft 100 studios. Those beautiful men you see on stage, that is the Day Trader Trio, greatest in the world. Back here at the bar, Costa, Mary Godwin, Greg Todorov, and Sully.
There we go. Ian Jenks, I've gotten to know over the last week or so. Great guy, good CEO. He's the chairman and CEO of a company called SmartKem. Pardon me, SMTK is their ticker. You can go to smartkem.com. This is about your TV screen that went from being a cathode ray tube. To a tube,
weighing
to a rear
800
projection,
pounds.
to an LED, to a piece of furniture. By the way, speaking of that, do you remember the coffin you had right in the entryway?
Oh, yeah.
Open the top, had a reel-to-reel, had a record player, had a cassette,
Totally.
had a realistic.
Yeah.
Hey, buddy, had album storage.
The fabric-covered speaker.
Right, you close it back up.
On both sides.
But listen, and the real cool ones had the TV in the front.
Of course.
That had the tubes in the back. Remember that?
Yeah.
I give you my good friend Ian Jenks. Ian, how are you, sir? How are you handling your travel? He was in New York yesterday. This time we were talking. He was in New York. Now today.
I was. Yeah. I took the red eye over, and I'm now in London. So bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, ready to go.
Yeah. Hey. Let's talk about this U.S. display market here, because you said, the first thing you said to us a week or so ago, and when we saw you, is anybody can walk into Best Buy and they can tell the difference between A, B, C, D, and E. Okay.
Yep.
And that's because we have a calibrated eye, I believe, calibrated eyeball. Take it from there. Talk about the market, because I think what we missed last time was just how big the addressable market is for you guys. And if you capture this much of it, you guys are a $500 million company without even trying. Talk about that part of it.
So the market for displays is about $250 billion. Roughly 60% of that is still LCD displays. So most of the things that you see on IT screens, and then the bulk of the rest of that today is OLEDs in a variety of different forms. And if I look at where the share of the market that micro LED TVs, which is the next generation that we're supporting with our polymer semiconductors that make the transistors. So if you look at that, that's forecast to grow over the next 5 or 6 years to about $10 or $12 billion in terms of final displays. And that represents a very sizable opportunity for us to sell our polymer materials into. You did make an excellent point about the US display market. So in the US, we don't have a display industry anymore.
No kidding.
The whole of that industry is now moved initially over to Taiwan and Japan with the likes of Sony and Panasonic, then more recently into Samsung and LG, and right now, today, of course, a lot of our displays are made in mainland China with companies like BOE and TCL. And strategically, that I think is something that that we need to address in the US. If you look at the dependence of us all on displays, whether it's a smartwatch, a smartphone, the IT infrastructure, all of our medical. If you just think about looking around a hospital ward, screens everywhere. And that's without thinking about the automotive sector and the defense sector, of course. And all of those displays are manufactured offshore today.
Hey, Ian, could you tell me exactly what is a micro LED display? Because I know when I watched the video on your website, that is the future. Is that the future of all displays?
And they're crazy expensive, too. So to talk about both at the same time.
Sure, absolutely. So you're absolutely right. They are crazy expensive. So a micro LED, let's start with that. So micro LED, exactly the same thing that you have in the LED lights that we're all being illuminated with at the moment. But they're much smaller. So something like 1/20,000th of the size of the LED that you see in your light today. So very, very small, just a few microns in size. And the reason that these, the reason that the world is going to go that direction is that you get a brighter image, you get a higher contrast image, it consumes less power, and we're all need to be more environmentally conscious about the amount of electricity that we consume.
Ian, didn't you say last time this is not a scalable manufacturing process? Isn't that the problem here?
That is absolutely the problem. So the problem today is you've got to take a 40-inch TV, so not even a big one. You've got 25 million micro LEDs, and you've got to find a way of connecting 25 million micro LEDs to 25 million transistors. And today people try and sort of place them on top of the transistors and then laser weld them. It's mechanical alignment of very small things, and then you hit them and try and weld them together. It's not a scalable process. So today people make quite small displays, and then they butt them all together to form little tiles, and that's how they make them. That's they can't use these huge display lines that they have today. And what we do is exactly the opposite. So instead of putting the transistors and getting a sheet of transistors, trying to weld things to it, we put all of these micro LEDs on a sheet of glass, and we literally pour our materials on top of it. And then then we use photolithography. So instead of dealing with mechanical alignment, everything is now photolithographically aligned and processed. And we process the transistors directly on top of the micro LEDs. And that gives us a much higher yielding process. And we're now working with AUO in Taiwan on a project that's funded by both the Taiwanese government and actually the UK government to build a transparent, rollable display.
Ian Jenks is the chairman and CEO of SmartKem. Their ticker symbol is SMTK. Ian, why should we be interested in SmartKem right now?
Yeah, in terms of investment.
So I think the reason why it's right now is that the market is starting to happen right now, and the winners and losers are going to be baked in right now. So if like me, you are a believer that calibrated eyeball is going to cause us all to want to have micro LEDs,
sure,
then the winners and losers are actually going to be formed now. It takes a year, 2, maybe 3 years to start to change an industry. There's a lot to happen in the meantime. But the winners and losers, and I believe we are going to be a winner, and our relationship with the largest display manufacturer in Taiwan and others now, it means that this is the time that the market is going to pick up.
Right.
And you're either in it now or you're going to miss it.
Well, I mean, we're almost like pre-peak on a new technology here. I mean, this is the difference between going from CD to iPod. Seriously, the way they're manufactured. Ian Jenks is his name. He's the chairman and CEO of SmartKem. SMTK, Sam Mark Tango Kitten is the stock symbol. SMTK, you can go to smartkem.com. Before I let you out of here, talk about as much, I mean, you're a CEO of a publicly traded company, and that's a enviable position in one side and not enviable on the other side. What are you looking most forward to for 2025? And let's talk about the next, let's say, 18 months, 5 years.
So I think what I'm looking forward to most in this year, and I am a publicly traded company, so I have to be a bit careful about what I say,
sure,
but for me, this is the beginning of the journey of commercialization. So we have early product development now that's going on with AUO, but in the meantime, we have a technology transfer agreement with another Taiwanese company called Right Display, and that means that we are working to transfer our technology onto one of their production lines.
Ian Jenks is the chairman and CEO of SmartKem. Again, their ticker symbol is SMTK. Ian, it's so fascinating, and I think this story is just going to continue
if you're a
to
geek
grow.
that watches sports on TV,
totally.
and watches movies on TV, I mean,
Exactly right.
Anybody's got eyeballs.
one of my friends just bought I think it was Roy and Pam who come to the studio every once.
Yeah.
Bought a 96-inch TV.
Wow.
Now, if you start thinking about how addicted we are to what we're watching, you're changing the world.
So
Ian?
I'll tell you the interesting thing about displays today. So your friends just bought this fabulous 96-inch TV, probably a big OLED TV, and if the sun shines on it, you can't see it.
Right.
That's why we want him to have information like that. All right. Much more to come to Big Biz. Keep it here.
I gotta get some eye drops. I can barely see.
Sure. It is. Wherever you're watching, wherever you are listening, we always appreciate you being along for the ride. The handsome guy talking to you right now, it's me. I'm Costa. You're welcome, America and the world. That's Greg Todorov, our executive producer.
Do you put the Costa are you like? What is your 23andMe heritage?
Oh, I'm Scotch Italian. And a little.
That's one thing you don't see very often. Order a plate of lasagna and a Scotch neat.
Yeah, I'm cheap, but I'll kill you.
Right.
Wait a minute. You're Scotch and Italian.
Yeah.
Oh, because you're thrifty.
Yeah.
All right. Remember
the Steels from Nebraska. What? Pretty good. That's a pretty good Scotch, right?
I need Scotch now.
It's a little. Okay, I'll just
let it go to the ether.
Yeah, let it percolate. Sorry, I'm sorry. There's no going.
But I want to know. Like you said, I'm drunk, but I steal from you. Is that what you said?
I'm cheap.
Oh,
and I'll kill you.
Oh, yeah, you were close, Sully.
Two of the four sins. I'm sorry. My bad.
That's Irish and French.
Yeah. Okay.
That's true.
Jonathan Javitt, of course, good friend of the program, founder, director, chief scientific officer, and now chairman of the board of a company called NRX Pharmaceuticals. We've talked about suicidal ideation. You're going to see their Bizumentary. Yes, thanks. I get paid a nickel every time somebody says it on TV.
Yeah.
Ooh.
The Bizumentary is coming out here on BizTV as well as on Bloomberg and potentially coming up on Bravo. Or I beg your pardon. Bravo? There's Ovation. Bravo. Ovation, right?
Bravo.
See how I get mixed?
Both great.
Long story short is, we have a pretty good press release and things are moving forward. We've talked to Mike Taylor, our financial expert, about Hope Therapeutics and what's coming from that. News keeps getting better for NRX, and guess who I got? Because we're important. Jonathan Javitt here. What's up, bud? Great to see you. Hey,
it's been a busy week.
It's been busy. Let's talk about, I want you to take it away because it's some pretty good news today in the market in terms of investors believing in NRX by putting in some money into the company. Talk about that.
Well, we're excited that one of the better and more thoughtful biotech funds out there, Anson Funds of Toronto, chose to bring in what will be between $10.5 and $16 million in convertible debt, and that's enough to get our drugs filed with the FDA.
You know, it's interesting. We were talking about this the other day with Mike Taylor, who's a financial expert on the program, who I know you're familiar with, saying that it's a different type of investor that takes literally the long soak. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a fishing term. Thank you very much. Let's talk hookup. But it's a 7-year turnaround oftentimes for a startup investor into a biopharma firm because you got to go through FDA and you got to go through the bells and whistles. And oftentimes you got to raise money in between. So it's not a small task for a company like yours to go raise money. And it's a testimony to investors believing in what you're doing. So that's some good news.
Well, and in our case, it's been a brutal task. We started this company in 2015, and I went and saw all the usual venture capitalists, and they all asked me the same question, which is what keeps you up at night? And I'd always have the same answer, which is, I worked on the SARS epidemic in the Bush administration, and a global pandemic would be really bad for our business. And because we're making the drug in Shanghai, which we're not doing anymore, a trade war with China would be really bad for our business. And they would all laugh. Well, it turns out we got both of those. And we survived both of those. And now we've got drugs that are ready to file with FDA and hopefully be on the market in 2025. So it's an exciting time for us.
Hey, Dr. Javitt, 2 questions for you I want to get to the drugs in a second, but I want to talk about, you talk about 2025. Do you expect to take this to market to yourselves, or do we do what they call that risk aversion model and have a larger bio firm come in, pick up the ball, take it to the finish line, and you're working on your next drug? Can you share what your thoughts are on that?
Certainly for ketamine, which is a drug that's not a home use drug, it's a drug that's going to be given in clinics. We know who those clinics are. We're already working with those clinics, and through our Hope Therapeutics division, we expect to own some of those clinics. So when you've got a potential customer base that's under 1,000 people, there's no reason to work with a large pharmaceutical company. They can't really address a market that small, that compact, very readily. So we're certainly going to do that by ourselves. Now, our second drug, NRX 101, that's anticipated to be a home use drug, is one that'll likely be prescribed by fewer than 1,600 psychiatrists in the United States. And that, too, is a footprint that a small company can address, although a highly motivated partner would be great to have. So, in my opinion, for you now have runway to complete the drug task, and then let's bring up Hope Therapeutics, because I think that's the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. Can you share on that, where this puts us now? Well, we have runway, we have a motivated investor, and we've got data that keeps getting better. So we've been talking about data that we're going to be presenting to FDA from about 1,000 patients, showing that ketamine is better than placebo, it's better than active comparator, it's as good as electroshock therapy for treating people with suicidal depression. Well, just this week, a study of approximately 43,000 patients, not randomized and prospective the way the FDA wants, but an observational study, what's called a cohort study, was published in a leading journal, showing exactly the same effect for ketamine in reducing suicidal ideation and depression. So we have a drug that patients need, that's rapidly becoming the standard of care. That's a life-saving drug, and that's an exciting place to be.
Dr. Jonathan Javitt, Founder, Director, Chief Scientific Officer, NRX Pharmaceuticals, on the
Not
NASDAQ.
to mention Chairman of the Board.
Chairman of the Board, excuse me, sir. Also NASDAQ, NRXP.
Howie, you got a question?
Dr. Javitt, pleasure to see you, sir. Congratulations on the deal. How important is it? I noticed that Anson Funds came out with a very strong statement saying, we believe in the science, we believe in the long-term vision. How much more efficiently are you operating with a partner rather than, someone that wants a deal done quickly?
Well, I think that it's a challenge in this market to find an investor who's committed to long-term success and not just committed to how quickly can we churn the stock. As we've all seen, there are too many technical investors, and we've suffered from some of those. But the problem in the biotech market is investors who are going to take a long view, who are in the company to make patients' lives better. And not to be out next month.
I think the story is that after today's deal, you're past that. Well, maybe everyone else isn't.
I would agree. Yeah. There you go. Well, Big Biz Show. Dr. Jonathan Javitt, Chairman of the Board, CEO, Chief Scientific Officer, Director of NRX Pharma. That's some good news. You will look for the Bizumentary on NRX and Suicidal Ideation coming right here on BizTV. More Big Biz coming up tomorrow. See you then.